Oh, hey, everybody. Welcome to Big J's World. Here I have Lex, who is a book talker on TikTok. And if you want to introduce yourself and so on, and what you like to read, what's coming up for you to read, what you
Uh,
dislike to read.
yeah. I'm Alexis, but most people call me Lex, and that's what you see on all my social media. I tend to read mostly fantasy and dark romance, and then sprinkle in a little sci-fi, sprinkle in a little lit RPG. Currently, I am in the middle of a few books, so reading Furybound by Sable Sorensen, which is the second book to Direbound. And then I am also reading through The Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb, which has quickly become one of my favorite series. And so I'm on the fourth series in that, The Rainwild Chronicles, and I'm on the fourth book in that series. So Blood of Dragons. So that's what I'm currently in the middle of. And then I'm about to jump into DCC book 7 as well.
Dungeon Crawler Carl, which
Yes.
I had no clue. Well, for one, I had zero clue what a RPG lit was
Right.
or is. So that's new to me. I heard you talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl and a couple other people. I'm like, what is this? Why am I? Because I saw the book in Barnes and Nobles and Walmart and other book places. I'm like, this has to be a children's book. It's way too thick to be a children's book. I wanted to look at it, but I'm like, no, this is not really for me because it reminds me of this other book that looks almost like it. Had like it's like a triangle thing. I don't know, but now that you've talked about it and Tom's talked about it, and I think someone else was talking about it. I don't know. I need to pick it up. So you told me to start with book one.
Yes, yeah, there definitely is an order to it. So the first book is Dungeon Crawler Carl. And what's funny about that series and lit RPG in general is like I'm not a gamer. Like my husband's a gamer, but I'm not. So like
Hmm.
I didn't know if I was going to get into it either. It was the first series within lit RPG that I was going to read. But I feel like it speaks to all genres. Like it's chaos and it's hilarious. And I feel like no matter what you typically read, everybody can find something that they enjoy about Dungeon Crawler Carl, and it's a really good, just refreshing series to read.
I need to. I'm gonna look into it more. It's in my cart. I haven't pushed a button yet, but I'm gonna look into it more. So, reading. Have you always been an avid reader, or just picked up later on in life, or
I've always loved reading and like reading as a kid, like I absolutely loved it. And then like as school got more serious, so like later in high school and in college, I kind of dropped off reading for fun. And I always enjoyed the aspect of research and reading for school. And when I finished with, when I wasn't going to school anymore, it never dawned on me to pick up reading again. And then I found myself having a lot of free time, and everybody was talking about Onyx Storm when it was coming out, last January. And, friends of mine that I didn't even know were readers were talking about it. And I was like, what is this book about? Like, and so I picked up Fourth Wing and I was like, you know what? I haven't read for fun in 15 years. Like, let's pick up Fourth Wing. And I did. And end of story. Here we are. Like, haven't stopped reading since. And that was, yeah, last January.
yeah, I've never been an avid reader till I met my wife.
I
So
love
I
it.
blame her for it. In the back. She's gonna start flipping me off pretty soon. She's done that a couple of times. So I was at a farmer's market helping her with her students because she's a teacher. She teaches special ed and she does the whole 18 to 22-year-olds.
Love
So they
it.
do outdoor things, they do community service and all that stuff. So we were at the farmer's market and I picked up a book from Stephen King, Fairy Tale. I don't know if you read that book.
I haven't read any Stephen King yet, but I need to. I need to because he's so popular.
Since you like fantasy or dark fantasy or both.
Both. I really like dark fantasy, but I like almost all fantasy, but I gear towards dark fantasy for sure.
Yeah. So this one's more of a fantasy slash horror.
Okay,
So it's
which is
about this.
yeah, what Stephen King's
Yeah.
known for. Yep.
So it's about this kid who lost her mother from a drunk driver who who's bashed into her. He gets a job by taking care of this old guy who lives in his house. Old guy dies. He finds the keys to a shed, and that shed has a tunnel that goes into a different world. Some of
Okay.
the people don't have mouths. Other people just speak like very buzzy. It's a different world where it's being taken over by this monster, not a monster, but like this evil person. I don't know what you would describe him, but it's a fun book to read. But knowing Stephen King, if you ever seen any of his books, he tends to like just write and
Yeah,
write and write and write. And like there's so much filler with him, but it's part of the story. So
that's fair. He
uh,
is a writing machine. He has so many books out there in
yeah.
general. Like, yeah.
I saw an interview. He writes 6 pages a day.
That's crazy to think about. Like, you'd almost think it'd be more, but I guess the
Mhm.
consistency would build up, you know?
Yeah, and that's why how he could push out so many books. I like the movies. If I know there's a movie coming out, I'm gonna watch the movie.
Yeah,
Like I got the last one that came out was The Long Walk. I have the book. Didn't read the book. Went to watch the movie.
definitely watch the movie kind of thing. Yeah. I don't think I've seen any movies that were based on his books, to be honest. I'm like sitting here
No,
trying to think. Yeah. Cause I'm not the biggest horror movie fan. And like that is a big genre of like what, his books get turned into movies. And yeah, I haven't seen Longest Walk.
did you watch it?
You're right. I did watch it. You're right. I did. I haven't
Which
read
one though?
the original one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's I don't know
I if
what
I
were they
watch
doing with the
horror,
new
it's
one.
the older horror.
Yeah,
Like, I love Pet Sematary. I
yeah.
love, so, like, yeah, if I'm ever watching horror, it's, like, old horror.
Yeah. And you have to watch Misery with
Okay.
Kathy Bates. Oh, she's such a perfect psycho in that movie. Oh, I love it. You know, Kathy Bates can be funny and serious. She's like literally
Unhinged.
unhinged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always go for the
So,
unhinged characters. I love them.
oh, they're great. So, in past episodes that I've done, I've always asked people how many books that they currently have. Jenny has 1,700 book. Amber, I probably know Amber, Aaron Reed.
Yeah.
She has 300 plus book. Lexine, I think she has four. I'm gonna guess four.
Okay.
And Jen has over 500 books. So how many do you have?
Um, unknown exactly. The last time I counted, I was distracted, and I don't know if it was 360 or 460. Everyone just tells me to round up because they just assume I have more. So I'm like, sure, we're just gonna. And that was like, oh, I don't know, back in like November, December that I counted. And so I have no at this point it's either closer to 500, closer to 400. That's a great question. And I said I was going to count when I redid my library, and I was
Yeah.
just so busy moving everything I didn't even think to do it.
So where was your library before? Was it always in that same place or did you have it in a different location?
Yeah, so it was down in our basement, kind of like next to my husband's office down there. And yeah, we just kind of had it in our like open living area down there. And then I had a room upstairs that I had given to my cats. And so, I had, all the stuff on the walls for them. It was the cats' room. It was their playroom.
Mhm.
And when we first moved in, we had thought about putting the library up there. And I don't know why we didn't. Like, I don't know why we were so hesitant to do it. And finally, just one day, me and my husband are sitting there, and he was like, he was bored. He was at his day off. He didn't have anything planned. And he was like, why don't we just move it upstairs? Like, we've talked about it. We keep going back and forth. Why don't we just move it upstairs? And I was like, sure. And so within 24 hours, we took all the cat stuff down, painted the walls, got new blinds and lighting, and we redid the entire room. And now everyone calls it my little hobbit hole because the walls are green and it's just got that vibe. And so
Yeah.
yeah, now I'm upstairs in my little hobbit hole and I've got a whole room to myself. Yeah.
You need an archway for your door. And just have that little
Hey,
knob in the middle.
that's what I was saying. I need to like paint the door to like mimic, the dark brown color, you know what I mean? And so I do need to do that. So yeah, it completes the look.
I love that sign that's behind you. Read books, be kind, stay weird.
Yes. had a shirt that said that, and I loved it. And when we were
Mhm,
doing my library downstairs, because we, had like a random bookshelf here, but when we like kind of put the library together, I
mhm,
that was the first thing I got. Like I was like, I need a sign that says that. I love it. And, I went searching online for it and found it on Amazon super easy. And I was like, boom, that's where it, and like we basically designed the library around that sign because I knew that's what I wanted when I was going live, when I was doing content and stuff like that.
mhm. Okay. Yeah, it's such a I love seeing that sign whenever you go live. I'm like, all right, it's gonna be a fun live. Which book has been like your favorite read that you could just, all right, I'm gonna take a break. I know I'm gonna enjoy this book. I'm gonna reread it again and again and again. When you just don't want to read anything else in your library.
I so I always joke, like, I'm a serial series reader. So I love series. It's hard for me to like hone down on one book. Like I feel
Yeah.
like within a series, each book has its purpose, right? And I love it for what it is. And so when we talk about that kind of stuff, I always say that. And then part two is I'm so indecisive and I love so many different series for different reasons. So I can never choose like the end all be all favorite. But some of my favorites are Throne of Glass. I've reread that multiple times. Red Rising quickly became a favorite, this last fall. And haven't done a reread of that yet, but I can't wait to do a reread. I've reread Boys of Toman. Loved that, even though I kind of need a break from a reread for like I just and
Mhm.
they're all those that I talked about are within different genres too, right? Like it's like I can't compare a favorite within fantasy romance to a favorite within sci-fi because they provide
Right.
such different things. Recently, and like I was talking about, I'm in the middle of the realm of the Elderlings, and as I've been reading through that, and that one's 5 interconnected series. That one, top 5 favorite, hands down. Like, as I was in the 3rd series, I was like, this is gonna, be forever ingrained in my brain. So yeah, I have so many that I love. I can never choose when people, hop in and they're like, quick, recommend me a book that, is your favorite. And they want me to, just be on the spot about it. I'm like, I can't choose.
All right. So I'm gonna be the bad guy here. I'm gonna force you to choose.
No.
You're stuck on
Uh,
an island and you only had to choose one book to take with you.
I have got a hack to that question. It was asked the other day, and I'm gonna bring my Kindle because then I can
All right, I got a hack to your hack. You can't bring your Kindle. Your Kindle's dead. Which book are you
I
taking?
we talked about bringing a solar powered charger for it. Oh.
You're stuck in a cave. No battery power. Which book are you taking?
Oh, it would probably be Throne of Glass, and and that's again a series. Within Throne of Glass, my favorite one that I could probably never get tired of reading is probably Empire of Storms, which is the second, well, third to last book, depending on how
Mhm.
you read it, 'cause there's all sorts of different reading orders and stuff. But Throne of Glass series, and that one, like, it was the first series that I was obsessed with. Like, I loved Fourth Wing. I really enjoyed ACOTAR when I read it. But when I read Throne of Glass, like I was just obsessed with the main character. And I have a Throne of Glass tattoo too. So if we're breaking it down there, it's probably Throne of Glass for the fact that I actually even have a tattoo for Aelin. That was, yeah, truly just the first one where it was just like I felt empowered reading it. Like I got something out of it other than just being entertained by it.
Mhm.
And it was one that like if I was in between other books, I would just throw on the audiobook for a random book within Throne of Glass just to have on in the background.
Right.
So yeah, if probably if I had to choose, it'd be Throne of Glass.
Throne of Glass. Okay. Throne of Glass. Do we have the answer? She'll choose that one.
Don't hold me
Uh,
to that. Oh.
she might switch it. Depending on the day. All right. So which is your least favorite series? Like something that just you couldn't like read after like 10 chapters, had to like immediately DNF.
So I've never DNF'd a book.
Really?
Yes, I always joke that I'm too stubborn to DNF. Like, I need to see it through, even if I look up spoilers, like, even if I can't. I have to finish it. I'm like,
Mm,
if I'm gonna talk about a book and criticize it, I at least want to have read the whole book.
fair.
And that's kind of where my head's at. And I also read so much fantasy to where the last, 50 to 100 pages can turn the entire book around. And I hate that it's like proven me wrong again and again to where like sorry, even if I'm not getting into it in the middle of the book, like my whole perspective can be thrown upside down by the end of it. And so
Right.
I yeah, so I've just never DNF'd a book, and I haven't DNF'd a series. Maybe some
Mhm.
people would just say soft DNF to where, like, I paused in the series, but
Yeah.
maybe at some point I'll go back to it when I'm in a different headspace or I'm itching to know more. Most recently, I read the Sun Eater series or started the Sun Eater series, I should say. And I'd say that's like the closest I ever came to DNFing a book. And it wasn't that it
Okay.
was bad. I just feel like the writing style wasn't for me. It
Mhm.
it just it dragged on. And if it's gonna feel slow, like I always kind of tell people, like if it's gonna feel slow, I at least need something that's hooking me, whether it's a character or a certain plot line or just one little thing to keep me going. And with the Sun Eater series, there was nothing to it that I read the first book, which people warned you, it's going to be a slow build up. Be prepared for that. And so I was, but then I went into book 2, Howling Dark, and it was still just as slow. And it wasn't until the last, 50 pages that it picked up. But at that
Mm,
point, I was so disconnected from the series that it was like even though it picked up, I didn't
right.
care about the characters enough for it to matter at that point.
Mm,
And even when I was reading book 2, everyone was like, "This is going to be your first DNF." Like people on my live runner, they could just see that I just didn't like it, and they were like, "Lex, you can do it," and they were all encouraging me to DNF it because they could just see I was struggling to get through it.
yeah.
But so many people that you talk to say that the third book in that series is where it's pinnacle. That's where it takes off. That's where the action kicks in, and so at some point, I do plan to dive back into it, at least book 3, and just see if it hooks me. But at that point that I was reading it, I was like, I at least need a break because, like, the headspace that I'm in, I'm kind of being a Debbie Downer about it at this point. And so, like, I don't want to go into book 3. If book 3 is the peak, let me kind of
Yeah.
stop, pause, and I'll come back to it in a
Mhm.
few months. And so that's the plan. But that's probably the most I've struggled with a book and series was, yeah, Sun Eater.
I've DNF'd a couple of books, like the recent book that just DNF'd, and don't come after me for it. Binding 13.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't. I've never been a person that like high school drama. I don't,
Fair.
no, it's not for me. I mean, my wife loves that stuff. She'll probably eat it up eventually. Uh, that's why I got her into like Starfleet Fleet Academy because it's high school based. Anything high school based, she's all for
Yeah,
it.
like coming of age, like
Yeah, yeah.
there's a lot of growth to be had in those kind of books for
Mhm.
sure.
And I just that's why I dislike Iron Flame.
Okay.
I finished the book because I needed to finish the book because book 3 was gonna come out. So I did a reread back to back. Well, when I first got Fourth Wing, I got Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. I did it back to back, and I loved Fourth Wing, hated Iron Flame. I'm very unsure of Onyx Storm. That the way that she left, how she left it, it's just I didn't really sit well with. So
She did us all
I
dirty with that ending, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other one was The Reformatory. I
Well,
get
I've
it.
heard of that one.
It's history fiction.
Okay.
It's, based in the early 1900s, I think. I don't remember 'cause it's the way that that person wrote the book and the wording of it just really didn't feel good with me. I get it. It was around that time. They used that certain word for people during that time, and there was
Fair.
just a lot of it, and I get it. It was a Black author, and I get it. I understand why it had to be written that way, but it wasn't something that I want to read. Maybe later on I might pick it up, but no. Right now, I no.
No, that's completely fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
I completely understand so many reasons why people DNF. And like bottom line too is like if you're not enjoying what you're reading, don't waste your time reading it. And it's so funny because I'll like talk about this, but then I don't listen to my own advice. But I see why and I understand why people DNF. And I definitely will like encourage it if you're someone who's willing to DNF. And, and not every book is going to be for everybody. And you want to try something new, but say it doesn't work out. Just happens.
I think when you first DNF, I think everybody's gonna be shocked.
I know. They're gonna be like, they're either gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, I need to read this book and see why," or they're
Yeah,
gonna be like, "Okay, it's Lex, like I don't want to touch it." Like,
yeah. So was Fourth Wing the first series you read, or Akatar, or was it some other book?
it was Fourth Wing. Yep.
Fourth
And then I
Wing.
went right into Akatar after Fourth Wing. So the two classical ones back to back. Yeah.
Oh, I read first book of Akatar because I've been like, you have to read this, you have to read this by my coworker.
Yeah.
She wants me to read the second book. I'm like, eventually I will, but not right now.
The first book is hard to get into for a lot of people,
She,
but it gets better as you get through the series for sure. Like the first book doesn't speak to the rest of it, but
yes.
unfortunately you need it for the background for the rest of it,
Yeah.
you know?
And it's like what you said earlier, like it didn't get better until like the last couple of chapters.
Right.
I'm like, I have to read all this just to get to the good part.
Fair, fair.
I You got to catch me in the first couple of chapters. If you don't, then I'm not gonna read it. So I read it the first time, threw it underneath my bed, and pick it up for like a year. Got yelled at by my coworker. Like, how dare you throw it underneath your bed? I'm like, I'm not reading it. So I dusted it off, read it, had the audiobook at like 1.75 because I just wanted to get through the book.
Fair.
And I read it. I would say a solid 7,
Okay, so
generously
you do a
grading it.
10 scale reading?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a solid 7. Was it better than Fourth Wing? In my opinion, no. But
It's a good intro to fantasy romance, and, like, that's so true for it, but yeah, it's definitely not one of my favorites.
yeah, no. So you only read dark romance and dark fantasy. Is there any thrillers that you read, or do you dabble into just straight romance, the fluffy stuff?
So, I haven't dived in any thrillers yet, but I feel like it's a genre that I could really get into. Like, people have talked to me about, thriller books that they're reading, and I'm like, "Oh, that sounds super intriguing." And so especially, like, psychological thrillers.
Mm,
I feel like I'm playing catch up in so many of the genres that I'm, currently reading that it's like, if I open the door to a new genre, it is just gonna be
mhm,
a flood of new books. So I'm kind of, like, prolonging jumping into thrillers just until I, like, feel like I'm not playing catch up as much.
got it.
And then romance-wise, so, like, contemporary romance, not really. So, like, I'll read taboo romance, which is a subgenre of contemporary, but that's it. Like, I can't get into the fluffy, hallmarky, like, I get a little bored with it, which is funny because, like, I love rom-com movies or TV shows or whatever, but when it comes to reading, I'm not a contemporary romance reader.
I've started reading dark romance, which is like I question my value sometimes. Like, how is this really
Yeah.
enjoyable? Like some of the stuff is like, wow, this is really fucked up. But yet I can't look away. It's like just staring at a car crash, just slowly, just going off the bridge and just going into the ocean. Like, why can I not look away? But it's really fun to read,
It is. They're so like you'll read it and you'll be like, "Are we into this? I don't know. How do we feel about this?
right?
I guess we're into this." Like, you know what I mean? And we just like keep
Mhm.
going. Oh,
So I got the Never King.
okay.
So I'm gonna get into that once the audiobook comes available because I need the audiobook. I can't just read. There's just too much going around.
Yeah.
And then I got what was the other one I got? Once You're Mine by Morgan Bridges.
Yep. I've heard of that one. I haven't read that one.
So I'm gonna dabble into that one. And then the second book of Haunting Adeline, because the first one left me like, oh, come on.
Yep. The second one gets darker in different ways. But the plot is still really good. It has a really good healing arc in Hunting
Yeah.
Adeline. Yeah. The Vicious
I'm
Lost
waiting for
Boys is more fun, dark romance. Like
yeah.
Vicious Lost Boys, so that's the Never King series, right? That one's definitely so that's why I choose, so you're gonna slightly taboo. And that's the other thing is like taboo and dark are two different, but they can be merged together at times. And I think people get that confused too. That
Mhm.
there can be a difference, but sometimes they merge, and that's where you kind of get like the why choose aspect of it. But yeah, no, I had a lot of fun with the Vicious Lost Boys series. That was a good palate cleanser.
So going back to thriller, good palate cleanser, I will always recommend Frida McFadden because she's like a 300-page book. You don't have to do a whole series unless you're going to do The Housemaid.
Right.
But if you're looking for like a quick book and not really be solely invested into thrillers, then Frida is
I
the
get recommended Frida McFadden a lot for when I finally jump into yeah. Yep.
yeah. She's like a little in between if you want to take a break from like the whole world building and stuff. So you're not like really fully invested into a book, you know. I keep staring at those books to behind the sign. Which books are those? Are those
Are we talking
yes.
these ones right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this
Mhm.
is the Bloodsworn Saga by John Gwen. So, Shadow of the Gods is the first book, and it's
Mhm.
an epic fantasy, Vikings, Norse mythology, um,
Oh,
lots and lots of battles. Like one thing John Gwen is known for writing is his battle
mhm.
scenes.
Yeah.
And I definitely like I was looking forward to that so much when diving into his writing, and it all lived up to the expectations.
Yeah.
John Glenn is just like he's so good at what he does and he's so good at the research that he does. And it
Mhm.
not only that, like when it comes to his battle scenes, from what I understand, like so he does reenactments himself. Like he's
Mm.
that's a hobby of his. And so like when it comes to writing his battle scene, he'll go play it out like in his reenactment group. And then if something doesn't work, he comes back and fixes it in his right. So like he very much takes the time to make sure that it feels real. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that ended up being one of the top 10 series of the year for sure.
So you only collect series, I am gathering. You don't
Yes,
have
a
a standalone
serial
book?
series reader. If I have like singular books, it's because the others aren't out yet. And they plan to be a series.
So there's not even like one standalone book that you have?
I do. I have
Uh,
so I recently got into ML Wong because she has a few standalone fantasies.
yeah.
They're standalone dark fantasies. So Blood Over Bright Haven is one and Sword of Kaigan is another. And I really enjoyed Sword of Kaigan. I loved it. So I do have those. Those are fully standalones. Trying to think if there's anything else. I haven't dived into Catabasis yet, but that is a standalone that I plan to read. Trying to think. I mean, there is a dark romance standalone, and within dark romance too, you get a lot of interconnected standalones where they're like a
Yeah.
series, but they can be read separately. And I do get into
Mhm.
a lot of those, but my mind is still like, no, I have to read them all. Um, I can't just leave it at one. If there's a series, I'm gonna read it all.
Like a caught
But
up series.
right, exactly.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the Into Darkness series. So yeah, you've got Lights Out, Caught Up, and Game On. Similarly with like Butcher and Blackbird, and then Leather and Lark, and Scythe and Sparrow. So I'm like, now I'm sitting here. I always stare at my shelves, and like my shelves don't always like accurately depict everything I've read because I read on my Kindle a lot, and then I tend to get the books these days, and so it's so funny. I'll like look at my shelves for reference, but it's not everything I've read, so I don't always.
Right. So you mostly read on your Kindle, or do you just grab a book from time to time, just read turn page?
I mostly read on my Kindle. Yeah. And it was so funny because when before I got a Kindle, so many people had recommended it to me. And I was like, nah, I don't like reading on screens. Like, I never really, even when I was in school and we'd get like teachers would send us articles or whatever, I'd always print them out. And so, like,
Yeah.
I was a physical reader and I was collecting so many books so quickly when I got back into reading that finally me and my husband were like, maybe we should just try a Kindle and just see how it goes. And I just have like the Kindle Paperwhite, and it is so much nicer on the eyes than like an iPad or your phone screen or whatever, or your computer. And so I ended up loving it. And now it's the only thing I really read on.
Okay. So do you ever sell your books if you wanted to sell one, or they're
I'm
just
creeping into that
trophies?
territory. And
Yeah.
now that like, I'm getting more books, I'm definitely creeping into the territory of like, okay, I probably won't reread this one. Or, and that's kind of like my gauge for things of like, I love it enough to want to reread it. It's a keeper. But I haven't gotten to the point of selling any yet, but I've started kind of going over ones of like, okay, I could probably do without these. And so we're starting to get there.
Oh, yeah. No, we have a bookstore that we sell back to, and I get new book.
Love
They're
it.
a used bookstore, so I try to look for like the cheapest book that looks okay,
Right,
that
right.
does not have a cracked spine, because who cracks spines?
I'm not against, cracking spines, but I do find that I naturally like avoid doing that. Even when I physically read, like I'd be the one that would like open the page enough to like just read it and like, yeah, no.
It's there's a art to it, which I've
There
always asked
is.
this question at the end. If you saw any of my podcast, cracked or no cracked spine is always a correct answer in my opinion. But I mean, it's you want to love you. I
Right.
get it. You want to, it's your favorite book. You want to, it builds character for some, but there's an art of holding your book where you don't have to crack the spine. And
There
there's
is.
just no reason. There's no way to like hold the actual book. Like for example, Stephen King's It is over 1,000 pages long.
Right.
So you have to crack the spine on that. If not, there's no way of holding that book.
Yeah.
But if a book is about 600 pages, you can hold it comfortably, for
You
example.
You still can, yeah, and,
Yeah.
like, it's not that I even and again, when I kinda, like, got back into reading, I never thought of the concept of, like, cracking spines, but like I said, I would just naturally hold it enough to where I wasn't, like, bending it, you know what I mean? Like, I still like, I think the biggest, like, paperback I have is Kingdom of Ash, so Throne of Glass, and what's that? 977 pages? So, like, just
Yeah.
about, but, like,
Hmm.
the spine's not cracked, but I never did that on purpose necessarily. Like, I just
Yeah.
found myself reading it in a way where I wasn't sitting there, like, bending it backwards. Like, my mom will do that, and I love her to death, but some of her books that I see just, like, hurts my soul sometimes, and she'll, like, wanna borrow a book, and I ended up just buying her a Kindle because I was like, "Nope, you're not touching my
Yeah.
book."
I love my wife, just make sure she hears that, but she dogs hears pages, she folds up, she rolls the book back and all the stuff that just be like I purposely got her a hardcover book, which what it's I got her the auction by Sadie Kincaid
Okay.
with the sprayed edges and everything, because she doesn't really buy books like that with sprayed
Yeah.
edges. She rather gets paperback. I got her a hardcover, so now she can still dog ear the pages, but it's her book. She could do
You're
whatever
like,
with it,
"I hear no, see no, speak no, as
but
long as I don't know."
yeah, she could like do whatever, but she can't crack the spine. But she could detach. Let's not. So
Like like, we're spiraling here at that point. We're
yeah,
just not gonna think about it.
detach spine, all that. All right, so get back on track. So, do you mostly get like sprayed edge special edition copies? Are you the type of person that will get multiple edition of books, or do you just get like one solid edition? But if you see another one that looks pretty, would you sell off that edition just to replace it, or would you collect all of
We are also creeping into that territory. So
it?
when I first started getting back into reading, I was like, paperbacks, I could, they're cheaper. I can get more of them, and so that was like when I first started reading again, I didn't care about getting a hardback pretty book. And now that I have my Kindle and I'm a little more selective about the ones I buy, I've started creeping into the territory of sprayed edges. And now when it doesn't have a sprayed edge, I'm like, ooh, can I find one with a sprayed edge? Can I find a special edition of it?
Mhm,
As well as like if another special edition comes out, I'll kind of like debate. I'm like, which one do I want? Or will I ultimately get both? And like this one's only on sale for a limited time. So I'll get that one now, but I'll
mhm,
probably get another one later on. Um so when it comes to like Red Rising, I've got, three different copies of it and I have another one coming in the fall. And then like Farseer, the, Realm of the Elderlings that I recently fell in love with. I got the special editions of those that'll also be here in the fall. And then there's the art, illustrated edition that I already plan to get later on. And so it's like I definitely am now creeping into the territory where I like pretty books.
Can we just talk about how entire Furybound book look. It yes, and
Yes.
then the end pages inside.
So, like, are we talking like the artwork?
Yep.
Yep, yep. No, these are gorgeous. I will say it took me forever to get Dire Bound because
Mm.
it's so pink, and pink is like my least favorite color. So I didn't get it for the longest time. And then, Lexine convinced me, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna do it. And so, I got it, and yeah, it's just so funny. So now, and Lexine has this beautiful blue edition of it, and I was like, oh, that's what I want in my life, not the pink one, but
Wait, she has a blue edition of Direbound?
yeah,
Where did she
it
get that?
I think it's I don't know what it is. It might be the Fairy Loot edition, I'm not exactly sure, but it
Oh,
is
yeah, she signed up for that.
gorgeous. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very jealous, yeah. No, and then
Yeah,
she was,
I'm
talking about how she didn't get the one for Furybound, and I was like, "Oh, boo-hoo, you have one of the pretty ones." I was like
seriously, and, like, all the other books that are, like, international books are
Yep.
so well designed than the American books.
Tara.
Like, I saw the books for Fourth Wing, like, "Why don't we have that over here?"
Right, right, and well, and it's so funny because I have so many of my followers are international, and, they'll come in and they'll talk about, our versions of them sometimes, and so it's kinda like the grass is always greener, I guess,
Mhm.
and I'm like, "What are you talking about? I love your editions that you got, and they love ours, and, like, let's just swap here, like,
For
let's make
real.
this happen," but
Like, I spoke about this with Lexine that they had a special German edition of Haunting and Hunting Adeline, where you take the 2
Ooh.
books and the sprayed edges, if you put them together, it creates a skull with flowers all around.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah, like, the only ones that I have so I have the UK versions of Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, and I plan to get all the UK versions of Brandon Sanderson because I like those covers so much more, and now that I've
mhm.
started with Mistborn, I'm like, "They have to match." So I have to now, of course, I'm gonna have to get the whole Cosmere in the UK version. I'm like, "Oh, what did I start?" But, we're here.
I mean, other than the auction I got from my wife, I got her every year the Harry Potter book. They used
Nice.
to come out with Mina Lima edition. Now it's just Scholastic. They're still doing the same type of design where inside
Right.
there you could like it's all interactive. It's meant for kids, but they're really cool.
Yeah.
So every year I got her, I think I got, it's been one, two, three, 4 books out so far. So she has all 4 books of that edition. So this
Love
year,
that.
hopefully, come out with the 5th book and I could just get that to cook. I'm gonna get her like the whole complete set.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it becomes an expensive hobby after.
Yes. Yep. Between the Kindle version and the physical book and the audiobook,
Mhm.
because you gotta have all of them.
You have to.
Yeah.
I mean, I need an audiobook with my books. Like, I'm not going to read it without the audiobook. And if I have to read it without it, then it's going to take me sort of like 2 weeks, probably like a month to finish a book.
And I've found that I'm doing so much more immersive reading now, like, with the audiobook.
Hmm.
But audiobooks still slow me down a little bit because when I, end up doing an ARC read or reading for an indie author that hasn't come out with an audiobook yet or whatever, I read those a lot faster, but yet I enjoy the experience of immersive
Hmm.
reading more still. And so, and it's funny because for a lot of people, immersive reading gets them to read faster, but I just apparently audibly process a little slower. And so, but I do enjoy the experience of it. And so, yeah, I'd say like 80% of the books that I read, I do immersive reading with the audiobook.
Yeah. And it's funny, I'll have the book in my backpack and I'm listening to the audiobook. And then when I get on the train, I'll pull out the book and just go to the chapter
Yep.
and close it, but still listening to the audiobook
Yep.
and just open up the book like 2 times and then just finish it. So the books that I have are like almost pristine because I don't like open it up.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. And it's like because I can't just like sit there and listen to an audiobook. Like I have to be doing something. So if I'm not doing anything, then I'm also physically reading it. Like,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. So your akatars are above you, I'm guessing, because I see that orange book up there.
My Akatars are over here. These ones above me are Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
they're the two like loudest series as far as
Yeah.
colors go on my shelves.
most of them are dark and
Yeah.
gloomy. Yeah.
Yeah. Faded colors. Like, yeah.
So I've been thinking about picking up Alchemy. Have you read it?
I haven't. I got it the week it was released, and it has just been staring at me on my shelves for months and months and months. I never even read Manacled, so like I feel like a lot of the fan base from Alchemize comes from Manacled, and since I got it, I was also excited to dive into it, and then I just haven't had the motivation to pick it up yet.
So Manacled is the first book or Alchemizers?
So, Manacled is the fan fiction, the Harry Potter Hermione fan fiction, and Alchemized is the traditionally published version of that.
Okay.
So they had to switch the world, switch the character, and it's the same, from my understanding, same storyline of sorts, but in a whole new world and characters.
Oh,
Yeah,
huh.
yeah,
So I've been thinking about picking it up. I've seen it multiple times at stores, but never like
yeah.
actually took it with me. Same thing with like Quicksilver.
Quicksilver. Okay, yep.
Yeah, I've seen it, never picked it up. So
I enjoyed Quicksilver. I feel like it can be hit or miss for people. But I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I like Brimstone too.
so Brimstone's the second book because I was looking
Yep.
at it. I'm like, this must be the second book. All right.
Yeah.
So what got you into the whole fantasy book reading? Is it the whole world building? Is it mostly the characters in the book, or is it like the whole mystical dragons, magic, all that stuff?
Oh, I mean, I just love the like escapism of it all. You know what I mean? Like something other than real world. I think the creativity of people to create these worlds and these magic systems is incredible. I truly first fell in love with fantasy with Harry Potter growing up. And like I would read it to my mom every night before bed. And like that's what I grew up on. And so that was truly the first series that got me into fantasy. And then, fell in love with Lord of the Rings. And then even when I wasn't reading, I still loved all those movies. And so when I got back into reading, my initial thought is like, if I'm going to read again, let's do fantasy. Let's have some fun with it again. And so it's just it's fun. Yeah, that's what I love about it is it's just truly fun. Even the dark fantasy, like it's still just like it's just
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. So which house are you in? Or which house were you sorted into?
So I just say I am both a Ravenclaw and a Hufflepuff. I was Ravenclaw for so much of my life. And then
Mhm.
one day randomly had taken the test again and I got Hufflepuff. And I was like, wait, what? And so I was like, that's gotta be wrong. So took
Right.
it again like a few weeks later and
Mhm.
I kind of like experimented with it. And for like, a couple of months, every few weeks, I would take the test again. And at that point, it was like it just depended on what mood I was in. Sometimes I would get Ravenclaw, sometimes I'd get
Yeah.
Hufflepuff. So now I'm apparently both, and but I still lean Ravenclaw just because that's what I was for like most of my life. And it wasn't until about like
Mhm.
I don't know 5 years ago that apparently I started testing Hufflepuff too.
So wife is a Hufflepuff.
Okay.
I'm a Slytherin. She got me tested. I had to do
I love it.
it. Oh
My
yeah.
husband always tests into Gryffindor, but he
Yeah.
identifies as Slytherin. He's like, I don't care what it says.
Right?
He's like, I'm Slytherin.
Right? It's like Harry Potter. You're supposed to be in Slytherin, but ended up in Gryffindor.
Yeah, right.
So if you would, and I've known that people always ask for recommendations. So for a person who has not read a book or is planning to get into reading, what would you say to start with if they wanted to dabble into fantasy, like a good starter book?
A good starter. So if they wanted fantasy romance, I would direct them toward Fourth Wing or ACOTAR. And I kind of explain both and what they have to offer because that's whenever I'm recommending a book in general, like there's never an end all be all book that's gonna fit into everybody's niche box. And so I kind of like to give options. Another one with fantasy romance that I tend to recommend is Avalon Tower by C.N. Crawford and Alex Rivers. Very simple world building and, very easy basic magic system. And so that's another one I tend to run. Yeah. So Fourth Wing, A Court of Thorns and Roses, or Avalon Tower are my usual introduction for fantasy romance.
Mm.
I recently started reading epic fantasy myself. And so as I've been reading through stuff, I feel like Mistborn would actually be a really good intro into fantasy, like more epic fantasy. Um, which Mistborn does have a subplot of romance, but As far as, more intense fantasy goes, I still feel like Brandon Sanderson breaks it down in a way where it's like you kind of get info dump, but they work. Like you're not having to sit there and piece together something from chapter 2 to chapter 7 where you're like, "Wait, I feel like I need to take notes." Whereas like all of chapter 7 is going to give you this bulk of information. So if you feel like you
Right.
need to refer to something, you know where to go. And so I feel like that's what makes it a good intro.
Hmm.
As far as that goes, if we veer into sci-fi fantasy a little bit, Red Rising has gotten a lot of people back into reading. Red Rising's got a lot of guys back into reading, and so that's where you see a lot of them tend to start too, within the world of sci-fi fantasy.
All right.
Yeah.
And what if they wanted to dabble into dark romance? Because, dark romance could get a bit sketchy, a little bit iffy. What would, something that's like, this is dark romance, but it's not too much that it won't put you off.
Right. I tend to recommend starting with dark rom-coms. So something like Lights Out or Butcher and Blackbird. And then once you kind of get past that, a series like the Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas. It's where it's dark in some aspects, but not every aspect. And dark romance is there's so many different levels to it. And that's where people have the trigger warning pages too. Like someone can be into dark romance, but not be in a specific thing, but that doesn't mean they don't like dark romance. Do you know what I'm saying? And so it can be really hard to recommend dark romance sometimes, but when it comes to starting off in it, I definitely always am like dark rom-coms. That way you're just dipping your toe in. You kind of get a taste of it, but there's that humor to kind of lighten it up.
Mm.
And you're not stuck in it if it is too dark for you. I also, if somebody is into fantasy romance and they want to veer into dark romance, there's the subgenre of dark fantasy romance. And so that's another way for those people to go. You're getting introduced to darker concepts, but you're still in that world of fantasy that you enjoy. And so,
Right.
again, it really depends person to person. That's where whenever somebody asks for recommendations, I'm always countering it with more questions so that I can recommend potentially a better book for them.
Right. So I've asked this question to Lexine and Chad and Amber. So if you were going to be a writer or thought of becoming a author, what genre would you dive in?
I'd probably do dark fantasy.
Dark fantasy?
Yeah, yep, with, like, maybe a subplot of romance.
Okay.
I don't know that I'd ever become an author,
Yeah.
but if I were to, I feel like I would be most passionate about writing dark fantasy.
Would the main character be like a morally gray person, or how would you?
Definitely, definitely someone who's morally gray, potentially even the female main character being morally gray, because I love seeing that. You don't see that as often. And I just, yep, I love it. There's always going to be morally gray situations that
Mhm.
pull me in, and so that's what would intrigue me to write about. Yeah.
All right. So I love a good trigger page. I'm all for it. That's why I read Noelle Ely. She's a thriller. She wrote Run on Red. If you're looking for something like very dark or gray after dark, which is pretty good too. Love a trigger page. So what would be like a really big ick for you if it came to like trigger pages or into and like any book? I know you've read like multiple dark romances, so there's like a variety of stuff. So
I haven't come across anything yet that giving me the ick when it comes to like trigger warnings. Even like when I say, and this isn't even really like a trigger warning, it's more like a trope. Like I'll say a lot, I don't love triangles, right? But they can still be done in a way sometimes where I'm okay with them. So there's not an end all be all where it's like, nah, I don't like that. And then when it comes to dark romance, I haven't
mm,
found anything yet. I'm kind of like I don't even look at trigger warning pages nowadays. Unless I know it's gonna be, and usually like the dark rom-coms tend to have like the funnier trigger warning pages. And I'll read those for enjoyment. But yeah, no, I usually just skip right over that part.
just go straight into the
I
book.
just go straight into it. Yep.
Alright. So my wife had me read Fucking Around. Have you read that book?
I haven't. I've thought about reading it. I haven't really read any sports romances.
It's I've she said it's amazing. She she's listening. She's like, "It's amazing." So it's good for my taste.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I've grown to love it. It's like 100 some odd chapters.
It's a big book. It is.
What would you call it? It's not a trying, it's more of a so
Is it
it's
white
about
shoes?
this it's a white maybe I don't quite understand what white shoes is for the most part. Explain what a white shoes is to me, so that way
Why choose is honestly like what it sounds like, and I think people tend to overcomplicate it, but it's like why choose one when you can have both? So polyamorous situations.
yes.
Yes, yes.
It's a polyamorous situation.
Okay.
So it's a male, female, male, male relationship.
Yep.
So that's the whole book. And she goes through loving one person and another one, but not really love the other person. But yet there's a lot that unpacks into that one book.
Yeah.
It's funny. It more sticks than hockey, if I would interpret. Yeah.
Oh,
It's a fun romance to read.
yeah.
Yeah. So that you learn about all the males and this one female who it's a very polyamorous relation. But if
I
you're looking
love white shoes. It's got to be one of my favorites.
yeah, so that one you'll probably enjoy. It's a lot of drama. A lot of drama happens in that polyamorous relationship, but then yet there's a lot of love and a lot of like understanding
Yep.
and a lot of like, oh, all right, so we're doing this now.
There's a like a found family aspect to why choose as well. And, you're navigating through figuring that out and like understanding that, someone can love multiple people. And I love a why choose. I really do.
So, all right. I just lost my train of thought.
Story of my life.
Right. So, what are those books above your sign?
These ones,
Yes. Yeah.
those are Red Rising.
Red right. Okay.
Yep. Yep. By Pierce Brown.
And there are multiple different versions of Red Rising I see up there.
Yeah, so you've got the collector's edition, the Lit
Mm.
Escalades editions, and then behind even the collector's editions are just the regular paperbacks. And then I have another artist edition coming in later this year.
So your Red Rising is Lexine's Boys Atomic because
Yeah, yeah, sounds
she
about
has the
right.
collectors. She says she needs the tie-dye editions that I got one of the tie-dye. And that's the one that she's missing. So she has a whole shrine, just like Jen, of books Atomic, the
Yep.
Boys Atomic, and the show's coming out on Prime. Apparently everybody blew up by who they chose for the
The
characters.
casting.
Yeah.
I'm nervous for that show. I'm very interested to see how they portray things. I'm nervous for it. I loved the books, but some things I just feel like should stand.
Yeah, I mean, the people have you seen no, you haven't seen The Housemaid. I watched The Housemaid movie,
No, I haven't.
loved it. Oh, loved it. The actors actually read the book before actually doing the movie,
Yeah,
and I think if you're going to do a movie based on a book, then you should at least read the book,
agree. Agreed.
so that way obviously, they're gonna cut out stuff from the book. Some of the stuff in The Housemaid, they cut out, which is fine, it's just small scenes that really doesn't really do an impact in the movie.
Right.
But, if you're gonna do a movie about a book, you should at least read the book before actual movie or a show.
Agreed.
And in the end of the day, the book is always better than the TV show.
It is. They are really two different things. And I feel like even if you loved a book, you can still appreciate the movie or the show separately if it wasn't exactly the same. But it's never gonna be translated exactly. It can't be. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
You have to go in with an open mind knowing that this is not gonna be like the book, so you're just gonna take it as it is.
And sometimes you are pleasantly surprised with how well they get it, to the book or the movie or whatever. But yeah, no, it's never quite gonna be the same.
Yeah. But I would like to thank you for being on my podcast. I really appreciate it. I
Yeah.
hope you enjoyed it as much
I'm
as I
glad you
did.
asked me.
But for people who's watching, if you want to put out your handle and where they can find you, where they can follow you.
Yeah, so it's at Lex Loves Lit, and I am on TikTok. I am on Instagram. Yeah, and my nickname on it all is Lexo. And if you want to join, my book clubs, I run book clubs on Fable. In the same name of Lex Loves Lit.
All right, you could definitely find that at the end of this podcast. I'll have it listed up so people can follow you.
Awesome.
So again, thank you for taking time out of your day.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
I'm glad I got the chance to talk to you.